Hey guys, I am going to take these tomatoes that are just kind of gross looking, and I'm going to make tomato sauce. A lot of the tomato is good, so we're just cutting the bad out of it and putting it to use. First thing we're doing is we are washing our tomatoes. I'm not using soap, I'm washing them off with water. Just knocking the dirt off. It's all good. A bunch of these have just like minuscule, like little spots in them. The bigger ones were busted open. It's fine. We can use them. This one actually might get tossed to the side for a slicer for some sandwiches later. But we have just a wide range of different kinds of tomatoes that we're using today. This one is not going to contribute much to the cause, but it's worth it having it in there. I will say, if you're in the market for a faucet, get you one that does this. I use this every day. It is very handy to have just to do all of the things. It also helps when you're filling up your water tank and your sink is full of dishes. You can just, then you don't have to do the dishes. While we are making tomato sauce today, I'm also finishing up the last 3 quarts of my green beans in the pressure canner. Now, tomatoes, you do not have to pressure can. You can water bath can them because they are acidic. High acid foods you can water bath. Low acid foods need to go in the canner. That's how I prefer it. I'm not big on being rebellious in canning, just because I haven't learned a whole lot yet. There's a few rebel canning recipes that I will do, but not too many. Like I said, I'm cutting the bad out of these, so they're just going to be wonky shapes. I am going to somewhat quarter them and throw them in my pot. That's what my book says to do. What we're doing is we're filling our stainless steel pan up with our tomatoes. Once this gets a little bit full, I will go ahead and start this on the heat. But for right now, I like having it to where I can throw the stuff in there. That way it's off my cutting board and it continues to give me space. So, like I said, this one just has some damage, but most of the tomato is good. So I will just cut the little pieces off that I don't want to eat, because there it is. This is what it looked like on the outside. This was the inside. After I cut it off, the tomato is good. This is the tomato itself. It would have been there anyway. This is what the outside looks like. This is what the inside looks like. So I could actually continue to just take the outside off and use the inside. That way none of your tomatoes go to waste. You worked hard planting those. But also, if you want to get into canning, I promise you it is okay to buy vegetables from the store before just going to start your garden. I am all about self-sufficiency, so I'm going to encourage you for that garden. But I also started with store-bought things. Actually, I started canning with store-bought dried beans, and that was such a confidence boost. It gave me enough inspiration to learn more. As an example, on this one, I just started cutting out. The whole top looked like this. I just cut it off shallow. Keep in mind when you're gardening, most of your fruit's not going to look like what's in the store. They only put the perfect fruit out. We can eat the imperfect fruit. That's okay too. I have my first round of tomatoes in my pot. This is what it looks like on the inside. I just covered the bottom. The book says to use a potato masher, mash it down, get it to a boil, keep it there. As I'm doing that, I'm going to continue adding my tomatoes. We're going to want to bring that liquid to a boil, and then it's going to thicken up. I'm just going to mash it with the potato masher, you know, the decoration that hung on your mom's wall. Grandma used to use it. We're using that today. So this actually gets used in my house a lot. This is what we mash our potatoes with. We don't use an electric mixer. Do you guys do that? I first seen it when me and Aaron started dating. My mom didn't use this. She just used the electric mixer. And Aaron was like, "What are you doing?" I think the biggest thing with canning is I've learned that 10 pounds of tomatoes is not as many as you think. So the book says that it is going to make about 6 pints. I have more just in case. The book always goes on the smaller end. I always have extra jars just in case. I think tomatoes are so fun because none of them grow exactly the same. Look at this. So weird. That one probably would never sell if we put it out at Hilltop. Whereas this one would probably be one of the first to go. This one does have a bad spot, so we didn't put it out. And then we have our Roma style tomatoes. Those tend to get closer to a uniform grow. So I videoed a whole lot of things, and then I realized that my microphone wasn't on, and I lost all of it. So let me catch you up. So we have peeled, cored, dice chopped, and all the things, our tomatoes, into our pot, and we have been boiling it down. Now it is very liquidy when I did that. Once it started boiling and we was all done adding our tomatoes, we added 2.5 cups of onion, a teaspoon of salt, pepper, and sugar. We did 2.5 teaspoons of Italian seasoning. It says to use oregano. Italian seasoning has oregano in it, same thing. I didn't have bay leaves, but I did add a few red pepper flakes in there. Then we brought it back up to a boil, and we've been boiling it until it has reduced to about half and it is thicker. I still have a ways to go, well, not too much longer, but I've been stirring it pretty frequently. That way the peels do not stick on the bottom. That would be no fun. We have plans for those. So that is where we are now. I will come back when it is time to put them in jars. Okay, so now it says to remove it from the heat, and then we are going to pour it through a fine mesh sieve. I don't have one of those. This is what I'm using. That's fine. Use what you have. Try not to burn yourself. I'm talking to me. Because chances are I will burn myself. I'm not going to make y'all watch that. Okay, now that I have put it in my sieve, it's not going as quick, so I'm just going to help it along, stir it, get the skins out of the way. That way all the juice and the good stuff will get down where it needs to be. Now, do not throw your tomato skins away. We can dehydrate those and make tomato powder. Those are good to pour back into your soups, kind of like a bouillon would act. It'll help thicken your soups, and it's no waste for your tomatoes. This is what I was left with. So we are going to spread that out on a baking sheet at a later time in video. I'll show you what to do with it. Now we're going to repeat that process until all of our tomato sauce is through the sieve, into the bowl, and then we're going to add some lemon juice to it. Now that all of my sauce, which ended up being juice, is done, I'm going to add a tablespoon of lemon juice to it. That's just our acid to add to our tomatoes. So I'm going to do that, and then I will show you the book that I'm using. I'm using the Ball Home Preserving book. I am still relatively new to canning, so I don't feel confident enough to do a whole lot of the Rebel canning recipes. recipes. So I do these books, I'll follow video, etc. But that's what I'm using. I'm using the seasoned tomato sauce recipe. The only reason that this ended up being more of a juice than a sauce is I just didn't cook it for as long. If I would have cooked it longer, it would have gotten more thick to be used as sauce. That's okay, we can still use this. With this being tomatoes, I can water bath can it because they are high acid fruits. So you can water bath can for high acid, then you need to pressure can for lower acid things. So since I have to water bath can, I'm going to run downstairs, grab my water bath canner, and get that starting to get hot, because we're going to have hot jars, which means hot canner. Okay, I have my jars filled. Now, remember, I didn't have 10 pounds of tomatoes, and I was cutting, a good bit off some of the tomatoes. That's fine. We're just using what we have right now. I filled them up to about 1/2 inch head space on my sterilized jars, and I got 3.5 pints. So I'm going to let my canner get up to, get pretty warm before I put my jars in. And then I'm going to bring that back up to a boil, and we're going to process them for about 35 minutes. Be sure to clean the rims before you put the lids and bands on. That's important. Now I am just putting my lids and bands on finger tight. As soon as I feel resistance, I'm stopping. Now on my 1/2 pint that I have left, I'm just going to put that in the fridge. We can use this pretty easy. I'm not going to waste my time canning this one. Now when I put my jars in, I didn't have enough water to submerge the jars completely, so I just added some more. It's that easy. You're wanting your water bath canning jars to be completely submerged, whereas pressure canning jars do not have to be submerged. And just like that, our 35 minutes is up. I have the tomato sauce on the counter, and it has been popping, which means they have sealed. So I'm super excited about that. I am going to let them cool on the counter for 24 hours. But this is just a good example of the difference between pressure can and water bath can. We have our high acid food and our low acid food, both preserved to be able to sit on the shelf for as long as we need to, as long as they're sealed. So that's very exciting. Now, these will not last long on our shelves. We will go through them pretty quick. But hopefully by next garden season, we will have more shelves to fill, more jars to fill, and I'm really excited about it.